it's nice to have an update on our Wednesday morning, their Tuesday afternoon, as to how things are going and the incredible after effects of the extraordinary events that happened at the rally and the young man who decided to end all speculation about who should be the Republican candidate and failed. Professor Shawn Easley joins us now. Shawn, lovely to have you on. Listen, mate, we're looking from afar. It seems very, very exciting what's happening in your country at the moment.
Hi, Michael. Great to be with you again. Exciting is one word for it. Tense, obviously, deeply concerning. America, I think, is in a somber mood, which isn't to say that there are a lot of people that aren't paying much attention to it, as we've talked before. Lots of times, these things kind of roll past a lot of people and things just kind of go on. But certainly the assassination attempt has jarred everyone into a kind of a better concentration of how it's all unraveling.
Yeah, I think the thing, I saw a cartoon published in the Times of London yesterday, and it shows an elephant and the donkey who have been fighting each other, and they're both bloodied, and they're suddenly hugging each other as a bullet whisks past. Is that the impression that you get over there at the world, that suddenly the Republicans and the Democrats go, uh-oh, we might have gone too far?
I wished it had, but that's not the impression I get. I still hear plenty of partisan vitriol. Actually was tuning into your station a while ago, and one of your newscasters discussed the Jack Black tour canceled because of some completely ridiculous and horrible statement one of his band members made about the sniper missing Mr. Trump. And I think that's unfortunately a better reflection of much of the discourse that's going on. There's some places that they're trying to make nice, but I don't see this as a lasting effect of donkeys and elephants coming together.
No, it's interesting because we've always, Shawn, in this country, been led to believe that the vitriol, the violence, has been a particular preserve of the Republican right and of the extreme elements there. But gee, I've got to say, all the conspiracy theories that I saw coming out over the weekend seem to come from the far left of the Democrats. And, there are stage photos of smiling agents. There is allegations from actors and actresses that Donald Trump's assassination was staged to make him look good. And, the comment that came from Tenacious D about, God, what a shame that he missed, that's been run through social media as well. It's, as you say, the vitriol's right through the spectrum, isn't it?
Yeah, it's deplorable. I don't understand why anyone is trying to comment on motivations or conspiracies or what have you. As you said, it was just a mere 2 days ago. No one knows anything yet except for a couple of the personal details about the assailant. And so it just astounds me that people would use this as an opportunity to try to make a political point when clearly America is at a precipice that is really concerning, and it ought to be concerning, not something blown off and characterized by completely irresponsible comments and cartoons and what have you.
Listen, the other thing that struck me, and forgive me but I got an impression yesterday. I watched Donald Trump live at the first day of the Republican convention. He is very restrained at the moment, it seems. Is this strategy, or do you think something happened in his head in the wake of that assassination attempt?
Yes, I watched him too, and had the same takeaway that you did. A million years ago when I was an undergrad, I had a professor that was deeply embedded in the U.S. intelligence industry. And he told me that on fairly good authority that after the Reagan assassination attempt, the whole tone of the White House, and specifically Mr. Reagan and everyone around him, had a perceptible turn. And when I saw Mr. Trump yesterday, my first thought was, this is not an act. This is a man that's had a near-death experience, and he's a little shaken and a little, traumatized, as any normal person would be. So I agree with you. It seems like there's been a change in Mr. Trump. And, he might kind of get over it and get back on the horse, so to speak. In fact, I'm sure he will. But certainly yesterday, he was toned down and reflective. And I think that most people understand that.
Yeah, and I've also heard reports, or read reports, you will have too, Shawn, that he was going to give a speech that was a typical Trump base, agitate, aggressive speech. And that now that speech has been jettisoned and he is going to give a very different one on the last day of the Republican convention. Have you heard that as well?
I haven't. And that's a really interesting kind of a revelation if that, in fact, becomes true. I think some of it, of course, could be argued that he now has Mr. Vance on the ticket with him, who has been one of the most, vociferous attack dogs for the Trump and the MAGA movement since he converted to become a Trump MAGA follower a couple of years ago. When he begged Trump for the nomination nod in a very heated contest for the Republican primary here in Ohio in 2022. So it's possible, and it sounds perfectly kind of logical, that Mr. Trump will now try to court the people that he's had a hard time reaching, which would be a little more on the centrist side, and he'll let Mr. Vance go ahead and go full-throated, full MAGA. And so if that speech is going to change, that could certainly kind of be a strategic and a thoughtful move on the Republicans' part to both broaden the tent as well as keep the base satisfied, which I think the Vance nomination was entirely about.
Okay, so if Donald Trump decides to climb the mountain and give a lofty ideals speech on the last day of conference and talk about how we need to unify the nation, is that going to change the presidential election? Is he actually then just going to street this election for the next 4 months by deciding to go to the moral mountain?
Everyone talks in politics about the strategy of running to the far extreme to get your nomination, and then you run to the center to get the election. So that would be consistent with that kind of strategy.
Yeah.
He's such an unpredictable character that it's extraordinarily hard to kind of figure out what's going on in his mind. And again, I go back to the Vance nomination. I think that it was a masterstroke. He was looking for someone else to do the dirty work for him. It wasn't a good idea if he, in fact, was trying to unite the party and unite the country around himself a little bit better, because Mr. Vance doesn't bring in a constituency of moderates. And we kind of talked about that the last time when we were trying to handicap the handful of people that were on the short list. So maybe that's the plan. I'd be very curious to see whether or not it happens. But I wouldn't be totally surprised. And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility by any means. And both, it would be good politically as well as good, kind of just for the country.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Actually, well, yes, and it's an obvious strategy. In actual fact, if I was his strategist, mind you, as you say, whether or not he would listen, we'll see. We'll find out. It'll be close enough. Listen, the other thing that's happened is that the Biden presidency, which seemed in all sorts of bother, assailed left and right by donors, actors, good God, the New York Times, etc., has fallen off the news cycle here, at least. I don't know what it's like in the United States. You'll tell us in a second. But does the Trump assassination attempt actually save Joe Biden's presidential nomination?
Such a good question. Certainly, as you said, it takes it off the front page, although it actually still is on the front page, and there are still plenty of Democrats that are calling for a change at the ticket. And as we've been talking all along, if it's a change of only 1 or 2%, you would generally say, so what? But we know that in an election that's decided by 1 or 2%, that's the ball game. So I don't think that the move Biden along is going to die down at all. It may just be hibernating for a couple of days to let this assassination attempt story run its cycle, and certainly, also, of course, the convention in Wisconsin, which will be terminating on Thursday with his speech, the one we'll be watching to see if he, just as you said, kind of makes some concession to a broader electorate. But I still think there's time for the Democrats, or at least they're going to argue that there is time for them to make a move. And I watched the discussion he had with Lester Holt, an NBC correspondent, last night. I don't think he did himself any favors in trying to allay his detractors. And in particular, he used the incident of the shooting to try to defray the kind of the discussion that he'd had previously about putting a quote-unquote bullseye on Mr. Trump. And he tried to use kind of a denial that he didn't say a more aggressive word like the crosshairs or the targeting, as if somehow or another the term bullseye let him off the hook from having any kind of a responsible kind of retort to the kind of criticism that's been leveled against Democrats for trying to raise the threat level and so on and so forth about Mr. Trump. I just thought, I know it's only going to be another couple of days, and we're going to see this come right back onto the front page.